You okay?
Yeah. But there's some like guy right.
White Park right now.
This? Can I help you? Hey.
Van camping often unfolds in places meant to be passed through. Forest pull-offs, empty lots, rest stops, and quiet roads where ordinary travel gives way to long stretches of isolation. In daylight, they feel temporary and harmless. After dark, every engine in the distance, every footstep outside, every pause in the night begins to feel deliberate. When someone parks to disappear for a few hours, who else notices first? In this video, we examined 5 disturbing van camping encounters, all captured by real people on real cameras. Brendan Explores, a channel built around solo van camping, quiet overnighters, and long drives into isolated corners of the UK. Most of its videos stay grounded in routine. Park up, settle in, ride out the weather, and spend a night alone in places that feel remote but manageable. In March 2026, he headed into the Shropshire Hills for what was supposed to be a simple one-nighter close to home. The setting was cold, fogged in, and oddly lifeless, with the hills buried behind mist and the woodland around berry ditches closing in as daylight dropped. At first, the trip just felt disappointing. The walk offered no view, the weather never lifted, and the only real problem seemed to be the van itself when the diesel heater failed, leaving him facing a long night in a freezing shell of metal.
Why hasn't... Huh. Interesting. Let's try one more time for good luck. Yeah. You couldn't write it. I'm going to check the fuse for the diesel heater. I know that the fuse for that diesel heater is down on the driver's seat, just on the right there. When me and Bruce did the electrics, I'm pretty sure that's where it is. Car's even more annoying, hearing their diesel heater working. Right. It was here. Right, diesel heater is that one there. I can't even see in that one, so I can't tell if it's blown or not. Right, let's give it a wiggle. Wish me luck. Oh, come on.
By full dark, the site had emptied out. Curtains closed. Coat on. No movement outside. No reason to think the night would become anything more than uncomfortable.
Well, it's well and truly pitch black now. No one else in the car park. We're all alone. So I think it's time. Let's get the curtains closed. I've got my coat on because it's so blooming cold in here.
Then a car pulled in close. Laughter carried through the dark. Voices hung around the van long enough to change the mood, even if nothing happened yet.
White Park, right next to me. I heard what sounded like teenagers laughing and giggling before. I was just about to get into bed. Flipping rave at Barry Ditches. Oh my god. I'm going to give it 10 minutes and hopefully they're just smoking whatever and then just going to pee off. Thank God for that.
Eventually it went quiet again, and he tried to sleep. just after midnight, he woke to the sound of another vehicle stopping outside, followed by a sudden strike against the van hard enough to drag him fully awake.
Outside the van. What the f*** was that? Where's the light? Right, I think they've just driven off.
The fear is immediate. He reaches for light, then keys, trying to understand whether the people outside have gone or are still standing only feet away.
Where the hell are my keys? Flipping out past midnight.
When he checks the damage, eggs are running down the side of the van and into the rail. Proof that whoever came back did not stop at noise and intimidation.
Oh my god. Have they done anything else?
That is the point where the night ends. No second chances, no waiting to see if they return. He leaves the spot immediately, convinced it was the same group from earlier, and drives out of the hills rather than risk being boxed in again.
They've sped off. But before there's chance for them to come back and do anything else, I'm going to leave this spot. I'm not staying here tonight. I knew when they first turned up and parked right outside the van here, playing loud music, that there was going to be trouble. I swear, when they first arrived, well away from Bury Ditches now, I made a decision. I'm going home. I've had a night, to say the least. So yeah, I'm not going to be finding another park up tonight. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the flipping morning, and I just can't be doing with traipsing around. I'm going to sleep in my own bed tonight, and I will bring you back in the morning after a good night's sleep, hopefully, and I'll show you the full extent of them.
By morning, the evidence is clearer in daylight. Dried egg on the bodywork, residue worked into the door track, and a night he cannot shake after getting home past 1 a.m. He says bad incidents like this are rare across hundreds of camps. But one detail stayed with him more than the mess itself. He believed he heard someone say his name before they hit the van.
Has it gone in the sliding rail? It's all dripped down there. I don't think egg does long-term damage to paintwork, does it? And I've only really ever had incidents like this happen on less than a handful of occasions. On the hundreds of camps that I've been on, I can only mention less than my handful that have been really bad camps, where something bad's happened. I've had things worse happen than an egg on the side of the van. I just don't get it, turning up and playing music and being a bit inconsiderate, yeah, okay. We've all been young once, but I think it was the same people. I'm pretty sure it was the same car. I heard somebody say my name, Brendan, on the second time that they came back. So to leave, to go away for hours and then come back with...
In a place that empty, at that hour, how did they know who was inside? Exploring with Bear, a channel built around road trips, remote camps, abandoned places, and overnight stays in locations most people leave before dark. The tone is usually conversational, even playful. That matters here, because in May 2026, after exploring the ghost town of Thurman, Noah and his wife drive deeper into West Virginia and stop beside the New River Gorge, tucked between black ridge lines and moving water, expecting nothing more than a late meal and a few hours of truck camping. The first minutes feel routine, but not entirely calm. He hears movement almost as soon as they arrive, pauses, and brushes it off as part of the mountains around them.
We are deep in the Appalachian Mountains.
Appalachian.
And I thought I just seen something moving over there.
Oh.
Did you hear that? I thought that sounded like a growl for a second.
They eat, talk, and try to settle in, but his wife never fully relaxes. She refuses to wander far from the vehicle, and the campsite never quite feels claimed. After dinner, they walk the edge of the river with flashlights, trying to get a sense of where they've parked. The water is clear, the fog hangs low, and beyond the beam of the light, the woods stay unreadable. Then Noah continues alone. What starts as exploration becomes a slow retreat. He catches himself reacting to small sounds, stops more often, and finally admits he keeps hearing things move in the dark, beyond the reach of his flashlight.
Man, it is so dark out here. Swallows up my flashlight. Man, I keep hearing crap moving around me too. So, actually, I'm going to get back to the truck because Tiff's in there.
Before he can decide what to make of that, a text comes from the truck. Something has hit the vehicle, and his wife wants him back immediately.
Alright, so Tiff just texted, and I guess something hit the truck. And she's nervous and needs me to come back right now. So,
Inside, she is shaken, asking him to stop filming and come in. He tries to explain it away, but the mood has changed. Then he mentions something else. A vehicle had already driven up close to their truck and lingered there without explanation.
babe, what happened?
It's too scary.
It's the Appalachian Mountains.
It's just too scary. Please come in. And
Did-
stop filming me.
What hit the truck? What was you talking about? Anyway, I did hear some weird things out there. There was a weird guy driving around. I didn't get it on camera. I was telling Tiff about it. And he pulled right up to the car for a minute.
The real break comes later, after they have tried to settle down for the night. She wakes him and whispers that there are people outside. A car door shuts. Shapes move around the truck without flashlights. More than one person is out there, and not all of them return to the vehicle they arrived in.
What was that?
There's people outside right now. That was a car door. What are they doing? Man, is it that same?
Is the same truck?
What are they? Oh, now they're outside but without flashlights. One dude's walking around with no flashlight.
It does look like there's a ton of people in that car. There's still people in the car, you can see them.
Wait a minute, they're not all back in the truck.
No.
Alright, man, well, this just got interesting.
They kill the light, listen, and wait. But by 3:30 a.m., the movement is still close enough that waiting no longer feels safe. They climb into the front, leave immediately, and drive all the way home on almost no sleep.
3:30 a.m. Tiff awoke to multiple people walking around our truck with no flashlights. Needless to say, she woke me up immediately. I didn't have time to film it, even have time to think. We jumped in the front seat. We hightailed it out of the location and drove all the way home from there.
They make it out unharmed. But if that group wasn't there for them, why were they circling a sleeping truck in complete darkness? The next case comes from Sydney on the channel Sydney, a road life channel built around solo car camping, long drives, and the small routines of living out of a vehicle. Most of her videos follow quiet travel across the United States, with campsites, repairs, and nights spent alone on the road. In May 2026, that routine brought her into the mountains of North Georgia, where the roads were steep, the campsites were scattered, and the day began like any other stop on a long trip. Brake trouble, bad roads, and failing lights slowly boxed her in, and by the time she found a flat place to sleep near Ellijay, convenience had already won out over instinct. Then she saw the tent tucked off to the side of the site, placed where no ordinary camper would choose to sleep.
I just realized there's a tent down there. Like somebody homeless living over there? I don't know what to do. There's a freaking tent over there. Do I go up to it? Hello?
She called out. No answer. She stayed anyway. As evening set in, the silence never settled. She kept glancing back at the tent, trying to convince herself it had been abandoned, even as the feeling got worse.
Out of all of the campsites that I've ever stayed at, this is the one where I might not make it out alive the next morning. I'm gonna camp next to this sketchy abandoned tent. I don't know what to say besides that. Also, if you were actually camping here, like if you were a normal person, you would have put your tent by the creek. I'll show you. Pile of rocks. Okay. You would have put your tent over here. Not all the way over there. Dude, I might die tonight, but I'm just gonna spend sizing up that tent over there, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like I shouldn't stay here. Like, when I went up there and I was like, hey, is anybody in there? What if they were just sleeping because they're like high on something? I don't know where to go though. The only campsites around these parts are up in the mountains, so I'd have to scale a mountain. Which I should have known that before I planned coming here and was super excited about coming here.
Later, while on a call with friends and half ready for bed, the normal rhythm finally broke. A man walked straight into her campsite without hesitation.
Location for you now.
Dude, I'm like scared. Holy. I don't know where he went. Wait. Oh. Holy.
You okay?
Yeah. But there's some like guy right there.
Right where?
Like he just like walked through my campsite. Holy sh**. I'm shaking right now.
There was no pause when he saw the vehicle, no sign he had wandered in by mistake. Her voice changed immediately. So did the night.
Do you need to call the cops or anything?
No. But. Holy shit, brother. Oh my god, dude.
Are you leaving again?
Yeah, I'm leaving. Holy.
Like, facing you, or which direction was he coming from?
He just walked into the campsite. I'm like, shaking. Holy shaking. Oh my gosh. I didn't expect somebody to come to my campsite like that. The thing that really concerns me is that, like, he saw that I was there and he kept walking into the site, and then he saw me. I didn't say he saw me, but like, you know, I turned my car on. So like,
Yeah.
he was right next to my car and had no problem with that he was intruding on my space, you know? That was crazy! Ow!
Dude, I'm like, dude, I was sitting over here eating, and it's like, I can't do anything to help.
Oh no, we're good.
She started the truck and left before he could get any closer, then drove to a Holiday Inn parking lot and tried to make sense of what had just happened. Looking back, what stayed with her was not just that he appeared, but that he kept coming after he knew someone was there, and then lingered in view as if waiting for her next move.
Sitting here processing what just happened, and that guy saw my car, and there was no hesitation. Like, he just kept walking towards me. I turned my car on. There was no hesitation or, like, stop in his stride. He just kept coming forward, and he walked right in front of my car, down to the little area. Then when he put his stuff down, he just kept looking in my direction, like, walking back and forth. Like, he was definitely up to no good and didn't want me there. Those were the vibes I got. Like, he wasn't trying to settle in. He was, like, waiting for me to either leave or stay. I don't know. But that was sketchy as hell. I quite possibly could have just avoided my murder. And I'm not.
By morning, the strain had turned practical. A dead battery, a jump pack, and a shaken exit from North Georgia.
No. Fucking battery's dead. Are you fucking kidding me? You're probably like, oh, don't you have a jump pack? Yeah, I do. Which I might have to use. I'm going to have to use. But let's see if it's fully charged. Okay, let's try.
She made it out. But if that tent was never abandoned at all, then who had been watching that campsite before she arrived? The channel Grizzly Gaz, a UK outdoor channel built around solo camps, van overnights, and rural trips with his dog Fendi. His videos usually move at an easy pace, mixing practical camp life with local history and the kind of quiet that only shows up once everyone else has gone home. In August 2024, that routine took him to a hillside campsite above the medieval village of Heptonstall, where the view was open, the field was empty, and the night began as a completely ordinary first sleep in a newly converted camper van. Earlier that evening, everything still felt calm. He wandered the old village, past churches and graveyards, and returned to a site that seemed to belong to him alone. But the setting carried its own pressure. Heptonstall sat high and isolated with centuries of conflict and folklore hanging over the place, and even before dark there were small signs that the mood was shifting. A pub stop felt wrong. The stares stayed with him. Back at camp, rain started against the van, the temperature dipped, and the simple fact of being alone became harder to ignore.
The Cross Inn, I think it's called. It were like, have you seen American Werewolf in London where they walk into the pub? Everyone just stops and stares at them. You made me miss. Yeah, we're like that. Rain's starting now as well. I don't know whether to leave this pop top open all night. Do we leave them open? I ain't got a clue. I'll try it and see. But it does have some little pinholes and stuff in it up there. So, and the bug mesh, that needs changing. Because that's got some big rips and stuff in it.
Inside, he settled in, talked to the camera, and tried to treat the night like any other van test. Then the quiet began breaking in small ways. A movement. A sound he couldn't place. A pause long enough to make him listen harder.
Is that your ass? Oh, did you hear that?
He drifted off anyway. What woke him was not a knock or footsteps, but something worse, because it offered no clear source. It sounded to him like someone screaming outside in the dark.
It's been peaceful though, but I've just woken up to what sounded like someone screaming.
Can't figure out what that is.
He stayed where he was and listened. No second voice, no beam of light, no sign of anyone moving through the field. Only that sound hanging over open ground and then fading back into the night. A moment later, he tried to explain it away. Maybe a bird. Maybe nothing at all.
Must be some type of bird. Let me know in comments if you know what it is.
By morning, the campsite looked harmless again. The van was intact. The field was still empty. He made breakfast, carried on, and let daylight do what daylight usually does, flatten the fear until it almost seems unreasonable.
What morning. I think I could get used to this van life stuff. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
But in a place that quiet, if it really was only a bird, why did it sound so much like a person in distress? The last video comes from Biaheza, on the channel Biaheza. His videos usually frame personal experiments as controlled projects, building something practical first, then testing it in the real world. In February 2026, that process led him into the Sierra Nevada, where snow had buried the ground, the trees were still, and what began as a careful overnight camp inside a modified Honda Element felt completely manageable. He had rebuilt the car for winter, lowered the bed, added storage, installed an inside trunk release, upgraded the battery, and packed heat, food, and window covers. Every problem seemed anticipated. Every risk had an answer. Even after the car cooled and the cold settled in, the setup held. He sealed the windows, checked the heater, kept the front cracked for air, and settled into the kind of quiet that makes a vehicle feel less like a car and more like a room.
Car's been off for about 20-30 minutes and it is getting pretty cold. So for my heating solution, I've purchased this Korean butane powered heating device that a lot of people on the internet recommended. It's actually like fully Korean. There's not a lick of English on here. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little sussed out with butane burning inside of a car, so I'm gonna use it sparingly and only when I'm awake. I brought this gas monitoring device. It should alert me if things get a little toxic in here. Now, to make sure I don't die from a fire, I did install a fire extinguisher in here.
Dinner went smoothly. The stove warmed the cabin. The night narrowed down to glass, metal, and snow. And for a while, nothing moved outside at all.
Back on, cozy mode initiated with a delicious meal. I mean, come on. Almost forgot the bev. And now it's time for our third and final course for the evening. If I wanted to camp out for a little longer, I'd probably just boil the water on the stove, but I had more than enough battery on this trip to enjoy the convenience and precision of an electric kettle. We're looking at a little open flame cooking here, a very advanced technique. In fact, one that you probably shouldn't do in a car. Dark.
Then someone arrived. Not with a greeting, but with a vehicle, a horn, and a flashlight strong enough to blind him through the cracked window. A voice came out of the dark and went straight to command.
Hey! Hello, who is this? Can I help you? Hey! What can I do for you?
Open the door!
How may I help you?
Open the door!
I'm not going to be able to do that.
What followed was not confusion. It was pressure. The stranger blocked the car in, refused to answer basic questions, then started pounding on the window and pulling at the handle while demanding the door be opened. Inside that cramped space, every modification suddenly mattered. He reached from the back, started the engine, and tried to move, but the frozen ground held the tires in place, while the man kept shouting and striking the car.
So I try to speak to him and he's just not responding. It's dead silence. He then suddenly starts banging on the window, yelling at me to open the door. He even goes for the handle of the door. And man, once I heard the aggression in his voice, my heart just fully sank. I realized that this was not a friendly encounter, so I reached around from the back and started up the car. I slide in the driver's seat. He gets even more aggressive, starts banging on all my windows, continues yelling at me to open the door. At this point, it got a lot colder, so the snow underneath the car is more frozen. My wheels are spinning in place, not catching traction. He's still blinding me with his flashlight here.
Then the glass gave way. The attacker ripped off the mesh, smashed through the window, and sent shards across his face just as the wheels finally found traction.
Aggressively rips off my mesh bug net, keeps banging the window harder and harder until he fully breaks it in, and I'm showered with shards of glass in my face. And praise the Lord Almighty, right at this point, my wheels catch traction, and there's just enough of an angle there where I can squeeze past his car, get around him, and get my...
He forced the car past the blockade and got out. Later, doctors found that broken glass had scratched his eyeball, leaving his vision blurred and sending him into treatment instead of the quiet morning he had planned.
Myself out of there. You can see my left eye rapidly blinking here. It was blurry the entire way home, and after getting it checked out, it appears that some of the glass had scratched through my eyeball. I've been going through...
If the man only wanted him gone, why try to break in before he could leave? On roads like these, danger rarely announces itself. It waits in the ordinary silence between passing headlights, closed curtains, and the false comfort of being alone. If these cases stayed with you, consider liking the video and subscribing, then keep the night going with the next story waiting just beyond this one. Some vehicles are only parked for the night. Others are remembered for much longer.